Matthew Backhouse writes, I was gobsmacked there was no interference or cash in the Gunther match. I kind of was too. I really thought Seth would have cashed in. He's a cash in even before Money in the Bank. That's what I kind of banked on, so to speak, was that there was going to be a cash in for this title match because they hyped it up and talked about it for so long. I was also a little surprised Jay passed out. He didn't tap out. He didn't get pinned, but he did pass out for losing the title to Gunther. I am wondering what they're going to do next, but yeah, interference? I totally thought it would just be like a big schmozzy finish. It's very rare for Triple H. He held back a little bit. PNG says Gunther beating Jay is what's best for business. But what's next? That's my question in an exciting way. What is next? Because we've had Gunther as world champion once again. Is he going to face the winner of Night of Champions? I'm thinking that it's going to be Sami Zayn wins King of the Ring and fights Gunther at SummerSlam. It doesn't mean that there's a main event to SummerSlam, right? Whoever wins King and Queen of the Ring, they get a title match. It's like the Rumble now. They just get a title match at the PLE, the place. So I think it could be Sami, and you redo Sami versus Gunther for a bit, and you could get the cash in there. But I wonder what is next. I do think it's kind of best because Jay was champion, and the little graphic on Raw said Jay was champion up until now 51 days. It's a short reign, but so was Damian Priest, and I think it worked out okay for Priest in terms of elevating him. Jay has already been elevated, and Jay is one of those characters on TV. He doesn't need the title. He's so over with the crowd. So I don't feel like him being world champion is really necessary. I think there's a lot of other stories you can tell with the title. The Gozi says the Raw women's mid-card is treated way better than the main event. Bayley versus Becky versus Lyra will be interesting while there's nothing for Io. I mean, there's nothing for Io right now because they're waiting for Queen of the Ring, right? However, I do agree that since WrestleMania and coming off of that triple threat, it is nothing for Io. They teased Rhea. They did the tag team stuff with Julia and Roxanne. That split. Io has done nothing since WrestleMania, like really done nothing. She's had no feuds, no programs, and it does seem like they are just now waiting to get to Queen of the Ring and then SummerSlam. Are we really waiting until SummerSlam before Io gets an opponent, a real opponent? That will be interesting. Right now, 100% agree. I really like the women's mid-card scene, and I'm glad I can say that because it's not always been the case. And I think that having Lyra getting elevated with Becky, now Bayley is back and getting in the mix. Could we get a triple threat at SummerSlam? I think we could, we should, and it extends the stories for everybody. If you did a Becky Lyra match again for like the third time, one-on-one, maybe it would start to lose its steam because people would say, we've already done this twice. Then they would do some stipulation match. Now Bayley's in there. I feel like you can extend this feud for a long time. I think it can evolve. And I'm excited to see what they do because Lyra's face when Bayley came out, she was kind of like confused by it. And I wonder if maybe Lyra will start to get angry at Bayley for getting so involved. Meanwhile, Bayley's trying to get her revenge on Becky. It's a way more interesting story because they don't have any stories for Io right now, which is a shame. Scuba for Steve says, we got Ron, Gunther is champ again, and Raw was very enjoyable. WWE might be getting out of the post-Mania lull. I thought the same thing last night. And I did our review. You go check that out on the channel. Subscribe if you can. Cheap plug. But Scuba for Steve, I agree. I feel like watching Raw last night, I went, oh, this feels like almost not a reset, but it's all a refresh for new feuds and moving to the next chunk of the year. Came out of Mania. I think a lot of post-Mania was surrounding Seth's group forming and John Cena having the title, but nothing else really felt like it was anchoring Raw and giving it a lot of urgency, hype, and all of that. I think that Raw showed all of these fresh new elements. Tournaments help. I love a good tournament when they're not overdone every single week. I like Ron Killings is very interesting because they didn't just reveal, hey, he's gonna do this, he's gonna feud with so-and-so right now. Punk Cena is a match I wanted to see, wish it was longer. I feel like it's a little rushed going to Night of Champions and they're just kind of like getting it done so they can get to Cody. Not really my favorite thing personally, but there's a ton of stuff to like right now coming out of just one episode of Raw. LA Knight, he showed up, attacked Braun Breaker. He's going to be mixing up maybe with Seth's group more. Like there's a lot of different moving pieces. I almost feel like they need to do some trades to be able to keep momentum going. I don't need a full-blown draft. I think they have too many pieces in place, but I love to see where they're like, hey, officially LA Knight's on Raw, move a few people to SmackDown, change things up. You also have SmackDown where Solo and Fatu are finally going to have their feud. I think that's going to be one of the biggest programs on SmackDown. So there's a lot to like, and that's great because there was a bit of that lull for the last like 2 months. Daniel Wright says, I now see Seth becoming WWE champion instead. It is interesting that Seth did not go and tease a cash in on the world title. He's mentioned going after both, but he full out came and teased Cena and Punk. Punk is so wrapped up with Seth that the Cena Punk thing, it does feel like a bit of a pivot, like a hard pivot, because Punk is so wrapped up with Seth Rollins and his group. Why would he not be just focused solely on that? I think maybe they want to get this Punk Cena match done. Like they want to have it. They want to give it to the fans, but maybe they feel like otherwise they don't know where to slot it in because potentially Cody is the final chapter for John Cena. I don't know what they're going to do, but I really do love that Seth is coming out and getting in the face of Cena and Punk. And this was kind of illustrated as well when it came to SmackDown, where right before Money in the Bank, you had so many different people, bodies, and both brands showing up and intersecting. They do this once in a while, but this is some of my favorite stuff where you get multiple people, multiple feuds intersect and overlap so that it's not just a straight one-on-one. Now you're getting Punk and Cena, for example. Seth Money in the Bank teases that. Punk, Seth, there's so many different elements in there that can work. Seth cashing in on Cena, I mean, that would get Seth to the tippy top, wouldn't it? He did the heist of the century. He teased saying there was going to be another heist. I think that it's very possible Seth could win the WWE championship. Imagine getting, like they had Cody and Seth whispering at each other. Imagine getting the one-on-ones with Cody and Seth once again. Now the big title's involved again. I think there's a lot of cool options there, man. I'm excited. Tropical Viking says, what the hell is going on with the Raw's tag team division? It's deader than dead. You can say the same for the women's tag division. SmackDown is stacked and is holding things together for the tag team wrestling WWE. Yeah, New Day having the titles is fun and all, but they got nobody to work with. Call up some NXT teams. I don't know what you do with Raw. I really don't. Raw's tag division has not been hot since it started. To SmackDown's credit, they've done a lot of work to build the tag division, and they are now making it a central focal point every single week. Lots of backstage segments, main event matches, multiple stories intersecting with all of the different tag teams. It's something to look forward to. It's taken a while, but they have not done the exact same thing and effort on Raw with their tag division. How many times are we going to get Viking Raiders New Day? Like, I know there's LWO kicking around, Viking Raiders, New Day. Who else? I'm missing people, but like, there's nobody American made. There's no teams vying for those tag titles. You might as well ditch them, in my opinion. I know they won't, but they need to do something. Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. That's my solution. Get them, even if you got to take them off New Day. Do something else. Throw the tag titles on those guys. Because then at least maybe they will have other challengers, but they're so wrapped up in the main story, so it's hard. The women's tag team titles, I agree. Liv and Raquel, like there's no other teams. They've, released some people that were in teams. It's not a focal point. Jade and Bianca were kind of the anchor for that when it was a big thing, and they threw a lot of teams at them. Now it's not so much a focus. So I feel like you gotta get rid of those women's tag team titles. They're not doing anything, much like the Raw tag titles when they were on Judgment Day forever. They were nothing more than just a prop. And the women's tag titles feel like that. You're gonna get some more thrown together teams, and that's about it. I would get rid of them because you could really elevate even more the mid-card women's scene on both brands. But yeah, the Raw tag titles, they need help, man. Stuck in My Head says, I think CM Punk should have been John Cena's final opponent to try and stop him from leaving with the championship like Punk did. I kind of do too. I know there's going to be a different story and we'll wait and see, and maybe it'll be great. I'm a fan of Punk and Cena. This promo on Raw reminded me of that. It was what I wanted to see, so I was excited for it because I lived through the 2011 era and all of that stuff that they referenced, and I saw it all happen and unfold, and I'm glad I got to see like a little reminder of that. It would be a cool story to have Punk doing this, like, I need to stop you. And it's even Punk alluding to that in his whole promo, like everything's reversed. Now Punk is not the corporate guy, but he's on the side of the fans, and he needs to stop John Cena from leaving with the championship. Could have been a cool one because you're almost getting that clock running down the clock like Punk did at Money in the Bank. It struck midnight. He had the championship. He was gone. Punk could lose if that was his final match, and you could have John Cena walk out with the championship, and it's, oh my gosh, what happens now? It's like Thanos snapping, and then it's just half the universe is destroyed. They could do it. This could be the first match, and maybe they see how it goes for Night of Champions, what the reception is. And if they turn out that they really love this, maybe they do try to get Cody Cena at SummerSlam. Cena retains, and they get to Survivor Series, and they do it with Punk one more time. I don't know. According to plan says, I think WWE will swerve us and Seth will cash in on Cody for the undisputed title after he beats Cena. See, that's the thing. If Seth can do a good job and the writers can do a good job of planting all the seeds of the world title and Seth eyeing that, but also equally eyeing John Cena's title, makes it very interesting. Even if Seth does cash in attempts, teases cash ins for both belts, then it gets very interesting that you don't know what direction he's going in. And I'd like to see that. Also, almost a sidebar here. If you're Seth Rollins, the character, in this whole story he's in, why would he want the world title? Why wouldn't he want John Cena's title, Cody Rhodes' title? If, let's say, SummerSlam happens, Cody Cena one more time, and Cody Rhodes wins, captures the championship, huge pop, John Cena, the evil John Cena is defeated, boom, Seth Rollins music hits, and he beats Cody Rhodes. Circling all the way back to WrestleMania 40, where Seth had to help and break his back to help Cody Rhodes. Well, Seth now comes in, hits Cody with a chair or something, and then boom, Seth has the WWE Championship. Could also bring back Roman Reigns then into the fold, and then you've got Cody, Seth, Roman all mixed in there. I think there's a lot there. So if you're Seth, why would you want the world title? I'd still be happy to see it. It would elevate the world title a lot. I think it'd be more interesting if he went after John Cena's belt. Carbon Cat says, Judgment Day drama is getting spicier with what Roxanne has done to Liv. I'm glad that Bayley's finally back. I'm surprised that Seth didn't cash in the main event. So let's talk Judgment Day. I am very excited about what they're doing. Roxanne moves on in the Queen of the Ring tournament. Liv does not. Liv is maybe going to pivot a little bit over for Evolution against Nikki Bella. Maybe that's a match they're going to do. I think that's interesting, but I think they will all circle back to Roxanne Liv. Is Liv going to eventually turn face? That's kind of my question mark here. Is that because it's Finn Balor screwing over Liv left and right. I'm kind of stuck in the middle a little bit, but it feels like Liv could eventually get that turn, maybe by SummerSlam. The feud I really like and appreciate what they've done with Roxanne Perez. You brought somebody from NXT, came to Raw for the whole time, but they didn't officially make it official for a little while until, a few weeks after the fact. And she's had great showings and she's prominently featured, elevated more. She's in a story. That's the stuff I like to see when they have their NXT talent. It's funny how Triple H talked about that a lot, before with Vince and all of that you want to have a plan for the NXT talent when they come on to main roster. And yet even he himself hasn't done the best job of doing that. I wonder if Julia, for example, on SmackDown is going to get into a good program. Probably go after the US title. That's great. You want to see all Stephanie Vaquer. Is she going to get into a proper storyline now that she is on Raw? All these questions, but Roxanne and Liv, it's a great story. I wonder if Judgment Day will finally officially break up, or do they just kind of keep evolving it? By the way, did you hear Nikki Bella? It's just silly. It happens. She fumbled, but she said Stephanie Vaquer. I think it's like she read it on paper and she's like, I don't know who this person is. The Vaquer. It was bad. That was silly, but the segment was okay. But let me know some of your takes from Monday Night Raw. And if you want a full in-depth review, please click this video right here. Subscribe to the channel, helps us grow. Have a great day. See ya.